Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Four Train Savages podcast, episode number 238. Today is April 7th. The Yankees just finished up their first home series of the year in the Bronx against the Miami Marlins, taking 2 out of 3. They now sit at the top of the AL East, Tyler. So looking at some of the other
Top of the AL too.
top of the certainly at the top of the AL East. Let's see, at the top of the AL as well as 7-2 with a 778 winning percentage. The next closest team behind the Yankees is the Tampa Bay
Not
Rays,
bad.
2.5 back. Not bad at all. But we know that the April games is not exactly when you're going to win the division, but you got to take care of business at the start of the year. And that's exactly what the Yankees have been doing. We saw a few the two losses that they did have were a bit disappointing, especially looking at the final game on Sunday, on Easter Sunday, was very frustrating. A
hmm
late start because the rain during the day. It was supposed to start at 1:35, started at like 6 o'clock. So credit to anybody that went out to that game and stayed through the rain delay. That
On
was
Easter.
on Easter too. But Yankees are 7-2, and there's not too many complaints when you're 7-2 and at the top of the AL East. But I would say, Tyler, definitely we have some not glaring things, but just some talking points. I think the
Yeah.
bullpen is a big thing to talk about. Some of the players at
hmm
the bottom of the order are certainly standing out. But what were your first impressions of the homestand, and how was your Easter weekend? Did you have some ham?
Easter was well, Rob. As we led on to the show, I was going on about how ham's a totally overrated meat, especially to have on a holiday. But I did eat some ham. But more importantly, I was just pumped the Yanks took the series. Obviously, I mean, it seems like the Marlins. I know it's early, and I don't want to get too crazy, but they're kind of scrappy. They're almost like the Miami Blue Jays in some way.
Hmm.
Some good pitching, a scrappy lineup. So I'm glad they took the series. But I think, yeah, dude, there's some clear kind of question marks. I don't want to call them holes yet because I think we know things will develop with the team. But yeah, 7 through 9 does not look hot right now. And then the bullpen clearly has some weaknesses, and then especially if you add in like a struggling Duvall here and there, and things look really thin. But I'm happy the Yankees took the series. I'm not complaining about anything because we're 9 games in. Um, but it was good. It was good to win.
Hmm. Thank goodness for David Bednar and the way that he has been
Yeah,
a absolute one workhorse because they're pitching him a lot, and he's been a
a lot of
stopper
pitches.
and a lot of pitches and some dicey situations too when he gets in. But he's been able to get out of it, which has been good. But there are in this bullpen, we talked about it, that even though that this bullpen is not going to be what the cemented bullpen
We'd
for a
hope not.
postseason, you'd hope not.
Yeah.
But I mean, watching Jake Bird now, watching Doval have some real struggles. I think I wanted to talk a little bit about how I see
Freaking Jake
maybe
Bird, man.
maybe Ryan Weathers being the guy to phase into the bullpen is one thing that I'm sort of seeing as a route, depending on how the health of the starting
Yeah, I mean, I
rotation
wouldn't
ends
hate
up
it.
going. But I think that this bullpen, I know it's April, but it certainly is giving Yankee fans a bit of uncomfortability, would be the way I would
hmm
say. Coming off that Sunday game, yes, that is the way that to feel. Um, but let's start with the positives. This team still took 2 out of 3, and they won the first couple games. The first game was more of a rout on
Convincing.
opening day, and then game two was more of a comeback of when they let the Marlins back in the game, and then Stanton was able to help them take the lead, and Bednar shut the door. So we'll dive in a little bit there. But if it's your first time joining us on the pod, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on social media as well, on Instagram and Facebook, TikTok, all of the top social platforms. So for the first game, Will Warren was the opening day starter or opening day at Yankee Stadium starter, and he
Home
goes
opener.
home opener, and he goes 5 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, 0 walks, and now on the year has a 2.7 ERA. So a solid start for Will Warren, Tyler. Not looking too
hmm
not looking too shabby, man.
No, I mean, I was very happy to see Will Warren come out of the gate and have a strong start against a team that started where they came in, started 5-1, 5-2. Um, I think because, we kind of talked about this all last year, and it was the one little vice with Will Warren is seemingly any game that felt like it mattered, he kind of had a kaboom. Um, and not that this game was like inherently super important or anything. It's not, it wasn't like really a high pressurized game that anything, you know, nothing was riding on this game, but it was a home opener. So there's some jitters there, but so I was pumped to see Will Warren come out, give some length too, um, and shut him down, dude. This was a, a very good game, probably the best game of the series as a Yankee fan at least.
Yeah, yeah. I think no, there's something to be said there because the only way for him to get better is to be tested. And I would say that this
Hmm.
was somewhat of a test because there are jitters that happen when you are the opening day starter for the home opener. That's a big deal. And Yankee fans, I think it was clearly a sellout. I saw all the social media videos of people at the stadium. It's a big deal, even if it is an April baseball game. So Will Warren coming through and giving the Yankees a solid start, and like you said, probably the best in total game throughout this weekend for the Yankees to make a statement and win at home. You always want to do that every single year. The first game at home, I think all teams would agree, all fans would agree to do that. And Will Warren pitched very well, and the only way
And
that he's
Judge was
ever
good this game after like, a little bit of that, 5 game stretch or whatever. So he just had good feelings this game.
So if the only way you're going to do it is only way that we could stop the conversations of can he do it is if you do it, and that's the thing that Will Warren is going to have to do, and he'll be tested because he's going to be in this rotation to start the year until we see the other players back. But you mentioned it, Aaron Judge. Everyone talking about, oh, he only hit 2 home runs in the first series or the first opening part of the San Fran series. Well, what's going on with Judge? Is he feeling it linger from the World Baseball Classic? Hits a home run to open the scoring for the Yankees after Edwards hit a home run for the Marlins, made it a 2-1 ball game. And the Yankees never let go of the lead with a lot of base traffic in the bottom of the second. A Grisham
Judge
walked.
got mad.
Judge also got hit by a pitch with the bases loaded and got a little frustrated. Wasn't going to do anything in terms of charging the mound, but I think him getting a little
That would
further
be a
out towards
sight
the
to see.
I think, though, getting a little bit more towards the pitching mound, he certainly let some thoughts be. I wouldn't be surprised if he had
Yeah,
some words
he
under his breath a little bit
yeah, he
there.
definitely he let his mood be known.
Yeah. So even I think the big thing there with talking about Judge to start the year, he's hitting 250, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, and 853 OPS, and we know that April is not historically his month where he's the best. We know last year he was extremely good in
Crazy.
April, but we're not going like you do with most baseball players unless they're players that are on the teetering of if they're going to make the
Like
roster or
on the
not.
cusp, yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to judge them the same way that you would a superstar like Aaron Judge. So Aaron Judge, even though he hasn't had great Aprils in his career, for this to start out with a 250 average, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, 853 OPS, you're going to take it. And I thought that sure, be a prisoner of the moment when you're thinking about the World Baseball Classic disappointment, whatever. But now we're into real baseball games and he's still giving you production. And I'm only expecting it as a Yankee fan and a fan of Aaron Judge to eventually just take off. And I think we're both on the same page there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think about Aaron Judge other than him just being, a 1.1 OPS guy essentially.
Yeah.
So it's crazy again. You kind of look at the first 9 games, you're like, yeah, Judge hasn't really clicked yet, and he does have a 147 OPS plus. So I'd say that's still getting there.
Yeah.
But I think Judge is fine, Rob. I think it was cool too in this game. They were able to stick to their B pen, kind of their B bullpen.
Hmm.
Um, even though it kind of ended up still, I guess, not mattering in the end. But a wonderful 8-2 W.
Go they they all go scoreless from that pen. Tim Hill with an appearance, Jake Bird. who did not do so well his next appearance.
Hmm.
Hedrick inning and 2 strikeouts, and then Yarborough coming in the ninth and shutting the door, even though it wasn't a safe situation. But they win 8-2. Also, Ben Rice had a porch job in this. That was his first home run, or sorry, second home run of the year, following his Seattle home run. And we'll get more into Ben Rice because if you look at the numbers and just
Should have had two
using
homers,
the
honestly.
using the eye test, yeah, exactly, with his double. If you look at what Ben Rice is doing right now, I think unequivocally he's the best hitter in this lineup. So
Yeah, definitely
it's
thus far.
it's just he's outstanding, and talk about
Just
a
stud,
player
man.
taking a step. So game number 2 is Ryan Weathers on the mound. Ryan Weathers goes, let's see. Ryan Weathers goes 3 2/3, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, goes 88 pitches. So this was a game that they ended up turning over to the bullpen. The Marlins, going into the top of the fourth, had a 4-0 lead over the Yankees. Bellinger cut it to a 4-2 game with a home run. And I'll talk a little bit more about Bellinger because I feel like in relation to when you're talking about Stanton or what Ben Rice has done, or even Judge has done, it's been a little bit more under the radar. But so far, Belly has gotten off to a nice start in comparison to what he did in 2025. Tyler, if you remember, really a slow start for him it was last
Hmm.
season. So it's nice to see Belly not being,
He's settled in, baby. He's in
yeah,
New York.
not being stellar by any stretch, but being a solid outfielder, and that's what the Yankees signed up for.
He's not being a black hole in any way.
That is what we need because the bottom half of the order is the opposite. So,
Yeah.
and then Grisham after the Bellinger home run in the bottom of the fifth, Grisham was able to get in another run to make it 4-3. Judge then ties the game in the bottom of the sixth. Belly later in the inning is able to give the Yankees a 5-4 lead, thanks to a sacrifice fly, and then Stanton in the bottom of the seventh scores on a pass ball by Ramirez here pitching. And this was the game, Tyler, that also Stanton on the bases was was running around. You wouldn't
Animal.
think that for the year he would ever have a stolen base, but he gets a stolen base in this game. So he must be feeling pretty good, I think.
Dude, he looks like I mean, just going back to, one of the reports that came out last week or whatever, and is like, they want to take every game, this much more seriously this year or whatever. And G's leading the way. Like, he's running the bases, he's hauling ass, stolen base. Soto stole what, 35 last year? Big G coming for a 20 bagger. I don't know.
What would you set the realistic over under there? I would say two and a half, three and a half,
Yeah,
maybe.
like,
Because
definitely can't.
he's gonna have some opportunities where it just
But there's
randomly
defensive
happens.
indifference, and
Yep.
then there's a stolen base. So I'd say it's got to be like 1.5. Yeah, because like
It's
something
looking
will
good now.
happen.
It's
Yeah.
looking good now. But Stanton in this one was really the force. Then after the Marlins tied it in the top of the eighth with a double, thanks to Sonoja, and Stanton singles to make it an 8-6 game, and then Rice with some more insurance on a pass ball, again by Ramirez, to make it a 9-6 game. So Stanton, it's a great point to be made that Stanton and Judge, I think there was that report where they were speaking to the team, and the way that they're just addressing this year is that they are sick of not being able to get over the hump, whether that be
Mhm.
getting to the World Series again or based in 2024 when Stanton played tremendously. I'm sure he's very frustrated, and his career is winding down, and they want to perform well, and they want to win that World Series, not only just because of the pressures, but because the clock is ticking on their careers and they don't know how many more chances they're going to have. So Stanton has led by example all year to start the season, and it's been impressive just how it was
He's still
questioned about
doing
his
it.
health, and I think that's the big thing, is he's still doing it, and
It's just like
people
when he's on the field, he's good.
he's just I think he's undervalued in a way in comparison to just the rest of the league and how good of a hitter he is. We always think about the 115 mile an hour home runs that get out in a hurry, or just the
Mhm.
line drives that he hits that are just defy physics, it feels like. But he
Still up there
is
with the highest bat speed in the league.
highest bat
36
speed in
years
the
old.
league. I think, though, as a complete hitter, he doesn't get enough credit. I think that
Hmm.
is a big talking point for me, is that when people will rag on him, and I think it is warranted when it comes to the injuries, because one of I think arguably the best ability is availability. I do subscribe to that line of thinking, so I think it is valid to give him that criticism when he's not able to stay on the field. But I bet he'd be the first one to tell you that he wants to stay on the field and he's trying everything in his power, but his body is just not reacting in the way. But when it comes to his ability to hit, he's one of the best. It's undeniable, man. And then you see the evidence like this. And on the year, he's only got the one home run, and he's just doing it in other ways. And now, if he's stealing bases, that's something else. So it's cool. It's cool to see.
If G actually makes stealing bases a little bit of a weapon, that'd be nuts. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the cool thing about Giancarlo, man, is like we kind of know what we're getting at this point. And I feel like the rest of the league just kind of looks at Giancarlo as like a sad story at times, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
he's still very, like last year he had a 944 OPS in 77 games. Like people forget that, you know. He's just picking up where he left off. And I also take back what I said earlier. I feel like this was the best win from the series because I forgot they started this game down 4-0.
Yeah, in terms of a comeback victory, yeah, I think
A feel good win.
I will never pass up though the quote unquote cakewalk of a win in a way.
Yeah,
Not,
the 8-2
it's not as
storm.
if they didn't earn it, but you know what I mean. You know what I'm
Yeah,
getting
no,
at.
I know what you're saying.
And then Bednar was this in this game, gave a little bit of trouble in the ninth, but was able to close the door despite Edwards singling in Lopez in that top of the ninth. So it was good. A little test for Bednar, who I'm going to continue to say it. I think even though this bullpen has been disappointing beyond or outside of Bednar in a lot of respects,
Bad
it's hard to say it in a 7-2 with a 7-2 team that's leading the division so far, but when you're going from the way that the Yankees started last season with Devin Williams blowing way too many games and blowing a lot of saves at the start of the season to now Bednar, who has not been perfect by any stretch, but because we've seen him get in trouble, but he's showing a level of resiliency. And when he does get into trouble, he gets out of it. And that's the ask of a closer. So we're going to sign up for that. And Bednar has given Yankee fans a lot of confidence, more so than we did last year. It's just, hey, now we got to figure out the rest of the bullpen to support this guy to be a dominant closer, because I think we talked about it last podcast that he had, I think, the best odds for the most saves in the AL. So he's
Mm-hmm.
on that pace. So I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm all in on David Bednar. It's nice to have a closer too that is, you know, he's done this for a while. You know, I know he hasn't done it in a huge market necessarily, but he has been a very good closer that's been the guy in the ninth for, you know, a hot minute at this point. So I'm all in on Bednar. I think closers is kind of what they do is they get into trouble and then they get out, hopefully. Um,
It's just you got to do it more times than not, and
yeah,
that's how
do
you're
it more times
defined.
than not. Yeah,
That's how you're defined. So
exactly.
so let's talk about game 3, and then we'll get into some savages of the series and some slump watches, and then we will talk about some other storylines. The third game, Max Fried on the mound, 6 2/3, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, goes 103 pitches. This was a start that Max Fried ran into more trouble than he did in his first 2 starts to start the year, but we know that he had a 0 ERA to this point, but he was going to
Hmm.
eventually have some trouble, and he did encounter that in the fourth inning, as well as the sixth, where Edwards was hit another double. Marcy scoring on an error in the top of the sixth by Jose Caballero, which we'll get into. So that was not necessarily one of his earned runs for Max Fried. But I think the disappointing thing that came out of this was Max Fried did give them the length that was necessary and did
Yep.
pitch well enough to win the game. It was just the rest of the guys that we talked about in this bullpen were not falling into line the way they did. Most notably
Hmm.
Jake Bird, but also Fernando Cruz gave up a run, and he did hold strong eventually, gave up a run, but these are guys that are gonna. I think the lesson from the start of the season, if we did not already learn it from last year, is that Yankee fans on a night to night basis with this bullpen are going to be nervous and are going to
Yeah,
have to really pay attention outside of
they can
David
be
Bednar,
frustrated too.
but that's what we're dealing with this bullpen, I think.
Yeah, because I mean, fans are going to lose their mind because Bednar is not going to get pitched in a game like this because you got overworked the last couple series, the last couple games virtually. Um, so then you're stuck with a Freed to Fernando to Jake Bird to Ryan Yarborough. Um, it's just scary. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to me to how they view some of these young guys and what they're going to ultimately do with them when Rodon and Cole
Hmm.
come back. But
Hmm.
this is a frustrating one just because it felt like they should have swept,
Hmm.
but they didn't.
And Ben Rice had a stellar game,
Yeah.
had the 3 run home run. We didn't even mention how in his first game it was he started with 3 strikeouts and then ended the game extremely strong. So Rice has and he had a few of the ABS mess ups, and I wanted to talk
Yeah.
slightly about that towards the end of the pod. But the Yankees were able to actually get back after losing the lead in the top of the eighth after Jake Bird's implosion. They were
Hmm.
able to get it within a 1 run game. And I think
Jazz at second.
the conversation, yes, after Jazz doubles, who has been disappointing to start the season, was the controversy or the, if you can say it was a controversy or just the talk about the decision making, was JC Escara coming into bat in that last at bat. Was, while you did have Paul Goldschmidt and Ahmed Rosario both on the bench, who, yes, it's the righty righty, but are we really saying credit to JC Escara and his story, Tyler? But I
Hmm.
wasn't going to I'm not going to lose my mind from April 5th on Easter about the decision, and I'm not going to pile on because I think to this point, I will give Aaron Boone credit that he's done a nice job. Clearly, the team is first in the division and has a
Hmm.
nice start, but I think that was a bad decision. I don't want JC Escara taking that at bat, even if it's a righty on righty with Goldie and Ahmed Rosario. I think that was a bad decision.
No, I mean, I totally agree. And I feel like a lot of the time you'd almost think I'd be on the other side here. But I think the difference there is just so apparent in the two hitters you're comparing that I like the gap in resume and overall production and ability between Paul Goldschmidt and JC Escar. If I have one AB, I'm not really I feel like I'm not taking a righty lefty split into account there
Mm-hmm.
almost. I'm just going, no, give me Goldie in that scenario. So I think that was a bit of over managing right there, to be honest. It was just like kind of getting in his head, like, all right, give me the lefty. But I'm on board with you and most Yankee fans that did not like it.
Also, JC Escara, it's a nice story, but he's not a good enough hitter to be in that situation.
He hasn't done it yet.
He
And we
hasn't.
keep hearing like the how much the Yankees like him. That's fine. They can like him. He hasn't done it up yet. He hasn't done it here.
You got guys on the bench with, I mean, Goldschmidt with a decade plus, and I think Rosario now has been in the league for a hot minute since he was drafted by
Yeah.
the Mets.
And they
So
both don't have good numbers against righties, but I would just take
you're
their
still
plate.
taking it, yeah.
Yeah, I would just take their plate presence, the ability to like work a count when the tying runs on second and you're the last AB potentially.
Mhm.
I still think it's a spot for JC at all.
Yeah. But the Yankees take the series, even though it's not the best way to end it. You're taking 2 out of 3, and then you play the A's later tonight, will be the start of the series, and then they head to Tampa. So good start to the season, good start to the home opener, nonetheless, about how it ended, but we'll hope it corrects. So I wanted to let's go into our savages of the series.
My guys are fucking savages in that fucking box, okay?
I'm gonna go with a little bit more under the radar, even though I think I'll save the obvious candidate for you, Tyler, because I think that
Yeah.
you're gonna want to talk about him more in detail. But I mentioned it a little bit earlier, was how under the radar Cody Bellinger has been. He did have a home run in that first game, but in the last 7 games for him, he's been 7 hits, 3 RBIs, 8 walks, 2 stolen bases, a 273 average, 545 slug, and then also in this game alone got on base with 5 walks, 3 runs scored, 2 hits. So not in comparison to maybe the obvious savage of the series with Ben Rice, if that's who you're going to take, Tyler. I think Cody Bellinger, and two, the defense. If you watch that, did you see we didn't even mention his crazy catch that he had?
Oh, I didn't even realize that's how he caught it, because I saw he caught it, and then I walked away from the TV, and then I saw it again on Instagram, and I was like,
holy shit.
I did not realize you did that.
So I think it's been a good start to the year for Belly, especially with how when he first started with the Yankees last year, it wasn't a good start. So, hey, we're going to take it any way that we can, especially when the rest of the lineup has been a bit of a issue. So I think Belly getting off to this great start is a pleasure to watch. And I think the defense is still exceptional. And then now we see the bat. And I think it's just, he's one of the best contact bats as a lefty in the sport. He just is. And I think that he also just a lefty on lefty, that when they have lefties in there, you're not just going to, I mean, one, they paid him and they need him to play in the outfield, but you feel confident with him at bat, no matter if it's a righty or a lefty. And he plays very well at Yankee Stadium. I think Michael Kay was highlighting his splits from last year at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah,
I think
it's built for him.
It's built for Cody Bellinger. So if you're playing 81 games with Cody Bellinger at Yankee Stadium, it's a good thing. So great start for Belly to begin the season. But who are you go with?
I love it, Rob. And yeah, Belly's got the he's kind of a unicorn in the league too, where he's a lefty that hits better against lefties than he does righties. So little reverse split action there. I'm going to go with the obvious and Jose No, we're going to go with Ben Rice, Rob. Which is actually crazy. For some reason, it felt like he had more hits in the series. Obviously, did tons of damage, but 3 hits in the series, 3 for 10, 4 runs scored, a double, 2 homers, 6 RBIs. The big thing, 5 walks. So, like I just said, he only got the ball in play in terms of a hit 3 times. But just I think having that type of plate discipline and having that type of plate presence in an era that we need, a lefty to protect Judge is, I think Ben Rice is just the Yankees like reality fever dream at this point, where he is clearly it feels like he's peaking, like we're only going up. So I think in my head, it's fair for me to almost cement Ben Rice as an anchor in the middle of the lineup. It feels like the strikeouts are kind of going to be there at times, almost, to be honest. But I think we're kind of seeing him as the hitter he is, which is a slugger. But Ben Rice arguably wins you a couple games this series. So,
oh hell,
he's also the MVP of the team at this point.
Yep. Yes, he is. He's got a OPS above 1,300. So, yeah, that is a clear MVP for this team. Now let's get into the guys that need to improve a little bit. Mistake. I'm going to say I think the most obvious one to me, and this is just to me, but I'm sure the bottom of the order has just not been good.
There's 2 obvious ones, I think. Yeah,
I think Austin Wells is a problem right now. Not a single extra base.
You went to Wellesley, huh?
Not a single extra base hit, nor a single RBI for the season so far. And I spoke about it for the last 2 podcasts, our season preview, and then after we recap the first road trip, that I don't want a catching conversation. Ben Rice is hitting amazing. I want him to stay at first base for the majority of the time. I don't necessarily want him to be managing a pitching staff or having to do that as often as Austin Wells would be. But if it comes down to it, and say other parts of the lineup are hitting well, say Paul Goldschmidt goes on a heater, they're going to want to put him in the lineup, and then Ben Rice is going to have to go behind the dish because Austin Wells is not going to be hitting well if he doesn't turn it around. So I think that, to me, not having an extra base hit or an RBI is a bit glaring. It's clearly April 7th, so it's not going to, I would, he's a baseball player.
Nothing's imminent.
Yeah, he's a baseball player, and he's going to have to turn it around, but I don't want it to continue. I want him to have a good year. I think that's a real sticking point, because then we have to be talking about not only Rice being a catcher, but then are we talking about JC Escarra getting days? JC Escarra is fine, but that's not. I don't want that happening. I really don't. So please, Austin Wells, kick it into gear. Please kick it into gear. That's my hope. I want him to get off to a good start, because I think it'll help a lot, especially off last season. But I don't know. Is that the same thinking you're having right now, or what's your take on Wells?
I mean, I think there are other areas of concern that are in the forefront of my mind in terms of like people that deserve to be ragged on.
I was saving the shortstop for you, because I also have thoughts on that. But
there's a couple, and then I guess I'm just not as overly like I'm not saying you're concerned, but it hasn't been good. Yeah, I mean he has a 452 OPS. He's got 9 strikeouts, 4 walks, 4 hits. So not great, not what you want. I'm not concerned yet, because I don't know if he hit well in the World Baseball Classic, or was it just kind of the vibes he was
had
bringing?
The home run. It was more of the vibes, really.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd be shocked if we roll into a catching situation this year where we're discussing, like, in my head, Ben Rice can't be an option there. He needs to just be an emergency.
But then if
third catcher on the team.
Then if Paul Goldschmidt starts hitting well, you go, oh, that guy needs to play, and Ben Rice can catch.
The same thing he did last year. I
don't want that. I don't
want that. I'd rather them, go get another catcher if they'd prefer to do that. But I think well deserved, Rob. I think he does. I think Wellesley brings a lot behind the dish, it feels like, but offensively he has not been there. So I'm with you there. I think there could almost be 3. Savage slump watch right here. I'm gonna be easy on Jake Bird, because he did have one clean outing. I'm going to be easy on Ryan McMahon, because he did draw 4 walks this series, so I'll give him that. Anthony Volpe, 2.0. Jose Caballero. Rob, 0 for 10. He did score a couple runs in this series, 4 strikeouts, and that's it. He did have a walk, but it's gotten bad, clearly. I mean, the Yankees, it is no secret that their shortstop position, just in the whole organization, is an issue, and they also aren't getting production from their third baseman offensively. So you're looking at, Cabby for the year, looking at a negative .1 WAR. He also has 4 hits for the year. So with Wellesley there, 10 strikeouts to 2 walks. He's got a 129 batting average, 206 on base, 129 slug, and that would be a 0 OPS plus. So yeah, I mean, need I say more, to be honest?
Caballero has been bad. There's no dancing.
And we were all
around
fired up in third inning of game 1
because it presented an opportunity for competition at that position.
We're excited about that,
which has not happened in the last 3 years. But as you said, a 129 batting average, a 206 on base, and a 335 OPS. He's been making a few errors here and there. If he keeps playing like this, there's no reason for the Yankees not to put Anthony Volpe back in there. And I know fans will be shouting from the rooftops for George Lombard to come up. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So
that's definitely not gonna happen.
If you want Anthony Volpe not to be back in there, the way it's going to happen is if Jose Caballero puts the pressure on him, but he hasn't done it to this point. So whenever Anthony Volpe ramps himself back up to where he can play in the major leagues, he's going to get the opportunity, and it's just going to be like, all right, whichever one of you sucks less, but they're probably going to give the opportunity to Volpe because we know they have a preference for him, but that's just the way it's going to go. It's unfortunate because I want Caballero to play well, but he's not. So there's still time. There is still time, but Volpe is getting closer to getting back on the major league roster. So it sucks because we want a shortstop that plays well. And to this point, questionable.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't had a shortstop that plays well in
Years.
years.
Probably since
We were wee lads.
probably Didi was
it's
maybe
Didi,
the last
yeah.
one, and then Jeter. I know. Well,
Maybe like a stretch of Tyro Estrada, who I would have loved if he just was our shortstop. Honestly, at this point, Tyro's put it together
we're
like a nice
longing for the
career since we
days of
traded him.
Tyro Estrada. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, listen, there's virtually, unless George Lombard goes on some like crazy Spencer Jones type of tear. I mean, he's definitely not coming up this year. They probably want to give him a full year in Double-A.
Yeah.
And weirdly, Rob, no one's gonna want to hear this, but the Yankees probably still believe in Volpe, so they probably really don't even care that Cappy's not playing well. It probably just takes more heat off of them to make a decision and be like, well, we're still gonna give Volpe run.
It gives them, you know what it does? It gives them the rationalization that, well, Volpe's coming
give
back.
a full year to Volpe now.
Yeah. Well, Volpe's coming back. We weren't getting any production from the shortstop position. So now if you factor that in, we're going to
Listen,
look
I'm
like
not
a
like
different
mad.
team.
If Cabby's bad for another 3 weeks, I'm not mad if Volpe starts to play.
Well,
to be honest.
yeah, I'm not thrilled with either of them, but
It's
yes,
just throwing shit at the wall and seeing hoping,
what sticks.
Yeah, and nothing's gonna stick.
So that's the route was if Caballero plays well, then that gives some serious competition in that he won't give back that spot. But if this is the level of play, there's no way it's gonna not be Anthony Volpe right back in there.
Yeah,
And
I kind of
what
think it's
has
almost
us-
impossible for him to win the job now. I've just in my head, I'm like, I've seen enough.
This week it'd have to be a real productive takeover. Yes, for Caballero, because I think what has been the latest on Volpe? I think that we know that
I don't know what the latest is.
We knew his schedule was a bit ahead of the anticipated return.
I feel like he could. I heard he could return end of April if he wanted.
Yeah,
to
end of April, early May. I think was the early analysis on it. So
will likely take live batting practice in early April. I don't know if that's happened yet or not.
He'll be back.
Prepare Volpe's going to be back, and he's going to be penciled in the lineup relatively soon. Which
the only way
gives you something else to hope for, I guess.
The only way
Stop it. Get some help.
The only way that it could pivot the conversation is if Caballero has a really good week this week, or
but then even
it kind of has to be this week though.
But how much? To be honest, how much stock am I putting in one good week?
That's a fair feeling. That's a fair feeling.
Showing me friggin' 2 good weeks and 6 dreadful ones.
They need.
This is just our shortstop. It's
debacle.
Just we're cursed.
You get a great shortstop for 20 years, and we're gonna hand you just a bad shortstop situation for the
should have brought me Corey Seager multiple times.
Yeah.
Should have brought me Corey Seager.
So Caballero will likely let Volpe right back into the shortstop position, and
there's no solution to the left side of the infield.
No, there's
second
not.
Or third or short.
And speaking of the left side of the infield, we just saw today that not the official lineup hasn't been released, but they've already said that Ahmed Rosario will be in today batting against a righty. So that prediction, or not so prediction, but as the acknowledgement that we had last time where Rosario was batting against George Kirby, who was a good righty, that McMahon's
They
bad.
don't give a shit about McMahon.
McMahon's bad play has not. They don't care. Well, in this situation, they don't care about the lefty righty or the righty righty. They are saying you suck at that position. So
McMahon
we're
just
going.
looks so uncompetitive, dude.
No, yeah, and it does. He is just an ofer in the lineup, which a lot of the guys are at the bottom of the lineup currently. But he is, and he's not a young guy. He's 31. We've seen, and he's getting paid $16 million. I don't like to pocket watch too much, but that is a good chunk of money.
I don't like that either.
It's
honestly.
a good chunk of money. So you got to get something. Got to do something. And if he's going to look like this, I'm saying, yeah, I would. I want Ahmed Rosario in the lineup. And we know you're taking a step back with the defense there, but you can't.
Here's the thing, bro. Like I said last pod, I really think he's going to start Fried days, and then they're going to drag Rosario wherever they want.
Yeah, because Fried is a guy that initiates
ground
that
balls to
ground
third.
ball contact, to third base. So that was something of note. McMahon,
$15 million bench guy.
I'm still
all I'm saying.
I'm still on
16. What'd you say? Yeah.
What I was on last episode, that I think Ryan McMahon and the noise on Twitter and the noise on social media, and it does represent how the fan base feels about him. There is time.
They're gonna kill him, dude. It's gonna be depression, Joey Gallo. It's just gonna be bad.
Yeah.
I feel bad already.
And then the other one that has been an issue, even though he did have a cut the lead to that 7-6 ball game on Sunday, has been Jazz Chisholm Jr. For the year now, he's batting 194 with a 237 on base percentage and a 515 OPS. No home runs, 7 RBIs. He has done well with the stolen bases. He has 4 stolen bases on the year, so that is at least a level of production that we're getting from Jazz.
Chipping away at that 50-50.
In comparison to the rest of the guys that are at the bottom half of the lineup, though, I don't share the same level of concern as I would for a Caballero or a McMahon or even an Austin Wells, clearly, because Jazz is coming off a 30-30 season, and I think that he will end up getting back to a stronger level of play. I did make the point to you the other day, though, in a text that you just need to see him get one. We need to see him get one. Hopefully it's this week. He's got to see the ball get out of the ballpark, because I do believe that his swing, it's a longer swing. It kind of lends itself to some deep slumps when he's striking out and not. We've seen it before happen. So I'm hoping this week that we see him just get into one, and then he can wash away the bad first 3 series and then get it going, because he's if we want to be successful and we want to see this Yankees team win, Jazz Chisholm needs to be good. So that's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, good thing to point out. I'm not too worried about Jazz. I think really at this stage in the season, obviously being 9 games in, anyone with a proven track record virtually gets a total hall pass from me until May 1.
Yeah, that's fair.
But dudes like McMahon, you're on the fringe. Wells, you had a disappointing season last year. Volpe, Cabby, you're all up for immediate scrutiny. No, I'm just kidding. But kind of not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Jazz will be fine. Hopefully him having a little, confidence booster this weekend, carries into the athletic series. I think, one person to note slightly, Rob, and not in a great way or a bad way, but just, keeping an eye on Trent Grisham. Hasn't necessarily done it with the stick too much, but he leads the team in walks, which, we like our walks, Rob. So, the Yankees enjoy their walks. Seeing the ball well, but hitting 172 through his first 9 games with a 368 batting average, 276 slugs. So like I said, hasn't done much with the stick. Apparently he's seeing the ball, but I'm just keeping it of note.
Oh, I've seen it, because if you log on to X or Twitter and you go see, it's the Jason Dominguez crowd saying that he needs.
Oh, I didn't even read what you sent me, because I didn't understand it when I was reading it.
Because it's everyone saying, because of that Escara at bat the other day, that Jason Dominguez, as a lefty, should have been in the lineup and would have had that opportunity.
But he would have had to have sat the first 9 games to get that at bat.
Tyler, I'm sorry if you're
Is
listening to this or watching this and you're a fan of Jason Dominguez. I also want to see Jason Dominguez.
I'm a fan of him, but he shouldn't be on the team right
He
now.
should not be on the team. I'm sorry.
No.
You can also be a realist about it. And there were people in our comments that are also agreeing that even though they want to see him, given the situation, and he needs to be getting every day at bats, but it is unbelievable and ridiculous if you think that he should just be rotting on the bench as the fourth outfielder. I think it's just it's ill-advised and it's stupid to just have because okay, here's the perfect situation because his scar is in the game and that Jason Dominguez should be in there. And yes, Trent has gotten off to a bad start. And if I don't disagree that I said months ago before he accepted the qualifying offer that I would have given Jason Dominguez a chance. And then that would have been the route if they let Trent, but we're past that. We're way past that.
Yeah.
Trent is here and he's
we're
playing
here.
defense. So now, given the situation, Jason Dominguez should not be on this roster because he doesn't know how to field. He can't hit from the right side. And if you're just letting him stay on the bench, he's not going to be ready. And they're showing his numbers, which he's performing really well in AAA, Tyler. He's hitting over 300. He's playing well. That's good to see. We want him to continue to do that. And guess what?
It's good to see. That's what it is.
Dude, I just can't. Like, some people are what. It's
absurd. There's no Rob. There's no
whatever.
There's no logic that's running through their head. I mean, in their head, that one AB it was more valuable than however many games he's played in spring thus far, or spring in AAA.
Idiotic. Sorry.
I just think it was a bad move on Boone, to be honest. And I'm kind of on a Boone side most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like JC Escar shouldn't have been taking that at bat. Also, like, Jason Dominguez very well could have done the same thing that JC Escar
He probably would have because
you want to know why? Because he wouldn't have had an at bat for 10 games. so he wasn't gonna come off the bench in the bottom of the ninth and bring Jazz home. It just wasn't gonna happen.
I just can't.
People are silly, Rob.
Silly.
I'm trying to Google his. I would have rather had Randall Grichuk take that at bat than a lefty. There's just JC Escar's the last person on the roster that should be taking the at bat.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
not sorry, but
it's Jason Dominguez's fault.
It's the Yankees' fault for I am the first. I am not the last to
I think this is the first smart thing they've done.
Yeah.
With him almost.
Yeah, because they make the other mistakes.
We begged them to send Volpe down. It's all just whatever. It's all whatever fits the current narrative for those Yankee thinkers. It's like, okay, well, JC didn't hit a home run. Like, if JC hit a home run, there would be no argument that Dominguez should be on the roster.
It's unbelievable.
It's enjoyment out of being frustrated.
Yeah. All right. So today the Yankees will play the Oakland Athletics, the Vegas Athletics. That hasn't even been totally approved, I don't believe.
Oh, he's 11 for 29. That's pretty good, Rob.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't realize Jason was like killing it in AAA, honestly, through 7 games.
He's having I think he's around 370, 390 or whatever.
379, 455, 655, 1.1 OPS.
That's good. So he should continue
11
to gain
hits,
that
I like
confidence.
that.
And then maybe there will be an opportunity down the road where then it makes sense. But it doesn't make sense in the first 3 series of the year.
I think everyone should be able to comprehend that if Jason Dominguez forces the Yankees' hand to play him this year, that's a good thing for the organization.
Yep.
Like a really good thing.
Yep.
If Dominguez is like the Martian.
The Martian. So tonight it's Cam Schlittler versus Aaron Savali of the Athletics, the Vegas Athletics. Then on Wednesday, it'll be Will Warren versus Luis Severino. So Sevy making a start back in the Bronx. Then on Thursday, it will be Ryan Weathers versus Jeffrey Springs. So as of now, the Athletics are a 3-6 ball club, so haven't gotten off to a good start whatsoever. But let's see it, man. Another series at home, build off last series against the Marlins, and then they go to Tampa, where on Friday, Max Fried will kick it off on that Friday game against Steven Matz. So Tampa's actually playing back at the Trop, so unfortunately we don't get that home field advantage of George Steinbrenner Field. So
G can't play in the outfield.
Yeah, don't let him touch. Don't let him touch any of that turf out there. Just keep him on the dirt. Uh, One thing that I wanted to end off the pod on, I think that we've seen it a little bit. I mentioned when we were talking about Ben Rice that he had some a couple of bad challenges that were ended up being strikes, and I think we're finally starting to see it a little bit, Tyler. That the splitting hairs strike calls that end up being just a nick on the zone that make people frustrated. That's like, oh, that's not really a strike, but catchers can kind of steal the zone a little bit
Yep.
that we've been seeing. And then we've now seen not as it wasn't in an incredibly heightened moment with Ben Rice getting that one of his strike calls wrong. I think it was in the first game on the home opener that there's going to be some moments where we as fans and then also just fans in the building and then also people in the dugout, when you're saying to yourself, what the hell are you challenging? Like that was something that stood out to me with that Rice stuff. And so there's going to be moments like that that we see throughout the year that you have to, yes, be aggressive with your challenges, but also like don't make there's been some across baseball too that I'll see across
It's just
X
been bad.
that have like, what are you thinking? Like the emotion that goes into it from players will hinder some of those challenges for sure.
Yeah. I think it's honestly good that there's instant gratification because I feel like there's nothing to be frustrated about once you see the result. Like when
Yeah.
Ben Rice makes a bad challenge, to me, I kind of look at it and I go, wow, I guess sometimes like they really just don't track the ball as well as they thought they did, you
Yeah.
know, and they've really were convinced it ended up somewhere else. So I think, there's definitely, I think the Yankees, I don't know what stat I was looking at or what it's called because it's like an ABS challenge stat, but I think the Yankees have been like one of the most effective teams at like,
Yeah.
not even just success rate, but it was like run something, run, I don't know, something to do with the total amount of runs they've saved or whatever.
I
in
do
terms
believe
of
I think they
successful challenges.
highlighted it on the Yes broadcast. And I think the
Maybe
Yankees
that's where I saw it.
are definitely at the top half of the teams in the league. So they've been doing well. We know that they started the season on the road trip with some good ABS challenges.
Yep.
Some of it they're benefiting from. I feel like some of it that you're benefiting from bad umpires too, in a way.
100%.
So I think, well, this was from like to start the year. I think the Yankees did have, in comparison to the rest of the league, what is it, 91%. So this was back about a week ago, but like for reference, they had a 91% success rate in the year, second in baseball, only behind Arizona at the time. So now you need some more time to see it, but yeah, it's going to be a humbling experience for some of the batters. That's like, hey,
Yeah.
you don't really know the zone as much as you do. It's time to get back in the cage and understand it a little bit. So I think it's cool. I like it a lot.
I might need Ben Rice to stop swinging at that down and in breaking ball.
It's great for Aaron Judge, though. I mean, he's going to I feel like he's going to completely, as long as they still have challenges, he'll be able to completely cut out that lower
low
half,
strike.
that knee strike that has been bothering
Did Jazz have a bad one?
I know Caballero had
Like
one.
Cabby just shouldn't even be. Yeah, that doesn't. You can get 6 strikes. It doesn't matter for you, buddy.
Jazz may have had one as well, but
I could be just.
we're gonna
Brain farting it.
we'll see how it progresses. But it's been I love the ABS challenge system, and I am very happy that it's finally in baseball.
I think it's one of the few things. Like I think the pitch clock was up there with it, but like everyone loves ABS. Like I think everyone was accepting of the pitch clock. I think some people want more ABS. Like collectively, everyone's like, well, now just do it for unlimited challenges.
I'm gonna put it out here. I know Rob Manfred has done some bad, and I know he's been a problem, but he past couple of years he's not been totally an offer as a commissioner. I will
The
give
things
him,
he's implemented have been beneficial.
Got to give the devil his due sometimes. You got to do
Yep.
it. So
Minus the Ghost Runner.
minus the Ghost Runner. All right. So that is it for episode 238. We appreciate everyone for joining us. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on our social platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of that, X or Twitter, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We really appreciate everyone for listening. Yankees go out and I was going to say sweep, but go win this series against Oakland or Vegas and then go play well in the house of horrors that is Tropicana Field, and we'll see how it goes.
House of Horrors.
We'll see you at 2:39. Peace.